Bow, Pubs are here once again, and today I got another beautiful build for you. It is, of course, the Cast on Critical Strike Ice Spear Pathfinder. Now, you may think to yourself, Ice Spear, wow, that's a lot of cold. No, we're not doing any cold damage. We're doing, in fact, fire damage. How do we do that? We are using the Pyre Ring, which lets us convert about almost 50% of cold damage to fire damage, and we're also using the cold to fire support gem in our setup, so we have approximately 97.99734% of cold damage converted to that fire damage, as I spoke earlier about. And then we are also doing something very cool by using, once again, yes, Amnity's Embrace Vermilion Ring, which I've been using for 4 other builds. Again, I love this ring. I mean, this kind of reminds me of the builds I made, 2.5, 2.6, with the original Sin ring. When they came out, I farmed it myself, and then I made like 15 builds just around that ring alone because it was super cool. And I feel the same way about the Amnity's Embrace ring. And so here we are once again using that ring, which, if you don't know, damage penetrates fire resistances equal to your overcapped fire resistance up to a maximum of 200%. So we are, of course, stacking that fire resistance everywhere we can, and we're trying to utilize some of the cool, neat interactions with it for defensive purposes as well. So for example, I have a Blizzard Crown, which has the affix physical damage from hits taken as fire damage. I also am using Cloak of Flame for that 40% of physical damage taken as fire damage. So about 50% total. And with such high fire resistance comes great responsibility, and that is to get our fire resistance to 90. So with our setup, with everything that we have going on with our mercenary, we have 90% fire resistance. And for additional physical damage reduction, we have a beautiful bronze tower shield with additional physical damage reduction. We're also rocking the Annihilation Approach Dragon Scale boots, which gives us adrenaline for damage and additional physical damage reduction. I did splurge on this build just a little bit, and I got myself Progenesis. Yes, it helps a ton. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. I love it. So, and with combination of Petrified Blood, we do have quite a bit of life expectancy to survive on this build. And once again, since we're a Pathfinder, I decided to go the Master Surgeon route. So our life flask does not end at the specified allocation time. I'm just kidding. Life flask effects do not queue, and they are not removed when unreserved life is filled. So we have a decent amount after the Righteous Fire, after all the fire damage we're taking from various sources. We still have, I want to say, like 1,000 life recovery per second or something like that. We'll have to check POB to ensure that's correct. And then on top of that, I actually got myself a beautiful Watcher's Eye, which has 23 life per enemy hit gained. So since we are showering our enemies with plenty of steel bullets coming from Lancing Steel of Spraying, and we have that Ice Spear, we have a ton of life gained on hit through that as well. I don't know if it's necessary. I didn't really test one over the other, but I do know that initially when I tried this as a Deadeye, the life gain on hit just wasn't enough, and also I was struggling with the mana cost, right? Because we're triggering every 0.03 seconds or something like that. We're expending a ton of mana. I was just not able to keep up. I tried to go the life tap route, and that wasn't working. I didn't have so many additional damage reductions, the setup that I have now, so that might have kind of played with it. It just felt squishy. If you do go Deadeye, I mean, experiment for yourself, but I wasn't able to make it work. I think, at least per POB, we had something like 30 or 40% more damage, so damage-wise, it was absolutely awesome, but then I would get killed every 5 seconds or 10 seconds in a relatively normal map. And so I decided to, you know what, screw that. Let's just go with a Pathfinder. Let's be defensive. And through trial and error, I was able to come up with this. I am, like I said, kind of utilizing some of the same things I did already from my previous builds. And this is kind of like a accumulation Here's a culmination of the different kind of aspects that you may have seen from me before. But I still hope you enjoyed this build as much as I did, and let me know in the comments below what your thoughts on it are. Apply exposure on nerve against a unique boss. This I crafted myself. I mean, I think it took like 5 or 6 essences of woes to get to this. Pretty cool. We have the Pyre Ring, and then the Amnity's Embrace. This I think was about 2 or 3 divines. Crit multi. Initially I was going for evasion. I was using grace. I think I had like 20k evasion, which felt nice, so that's why I got this one. But ultimately I decided to forego that for Arctic armor, and then sand stance through the one flesh and stone. Self-crafted wizard crown, slow suppression, physical damage, and some, you know, added cold damage, so that's pretty cool. And then once again self-crafted bronze tower shield. I did get a +1 cloak of the flame, and just to, you know, eke out a little bit more damage. Oh yeah, this is a +1 annihilation. I did get level 4 enlighten, which is kind of, you know, expensive, but maybe if you decide to, you know, if you don't want to spend as much, you can go budget version, just get yourself a level 3, and then I think you kind of tinker around with the tree or get some mana reservation jewels, and then you can still make this exact setup work. As for the tree, I have myself a mediocre voices, and then I have the 3 small cluster jewels with fire resistances. Again, reusing some of these from my previous builds. This is the one that I was using. This elegant hubris timeless jewel is the same exact one I was using on this when this was a poison build, but I wanted to get that frenzy, power, and endurance charge on hit essentially, and so I got that. On this side of the tree, I just went straight up just to get that cluster jewel. To get the cremator is not necessary because we got the Pyre Ring, but we do have life leech as well. And then I wanted to grab the couple of flask medium cluster jewels just to try to get my progenesis to be up 100%. The rest of the flat, like these two, are like 80-90%, and then Dying Sun is maybe 40% up at all times. The thing is, like, as long as you're mapping, you're going to be just fine. Again, I did not make this build to be boss friendly. If I did, I would definitely spend more, maybe get another cluster jewel, get more of these nodes where we can have Dying Sun at 100%. And like I said, ultimately you can try getting yourself a Deadeye version variant, and maybe that's going to work out for you, maybe it won't. You might have to take, you know, Eldritch Battery if you didn't want to rely on replica Sorrow of Divine, but then how are you going to sustain it? You might have to get Discipline, maybe get yourself one of these jewels, you know, gain 20. So this would work as well if you gain 27 or 20, whatever, energy shield per enemy hit while using Discipline. Go more defensive with cold and lightning damage taken as fire, so that's another route. You can try Cosprey's Malice. I think that'd be kind of fun. I personally never actually tried it, but because I wanted to, because you need to get, you know, like 3,000-4,000 accuracy rating, which I did not do myself, but that's something to try. And then for more damage, you can also get yourself something like a shield like this, where you have the damage, you have the crit chance, you have the +1, you have fire resistances, so way more damage. I think it's like another 10-15% more damage than the shield that I'm using. Again, I just want to go more defensive. And then with the Lancing Steel Spraying, I think I only have maybe 70-80% crit chance. So it felt enough, you know, good enough for me, but that's something to kind of think about because you want to be critting as much as possible. And so using a Diamond Flask over, say, Silver Flask, like if I was to boss, maybe I would do that. But we don't have, you know, a Quicksilver Flask. So if we don't use the Silver Flask or have another way to go quicker, like a Deadeye with Tailwind, then it's going to feel super slow, super sluggish. So, you know, experiment for yourself. With the Diamond Flask, you're going to crit way more, you're going to do way more damage, but you're going to move that much slower. So just keep that in mind. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time with another beautiful build.
Black, 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 Perry, black, 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 black.